Good evening, my little shadows. Tonight's tale comes from a place where trust died long before the people did. A forgotten town, a forgotten king, a ruler whose greatest enemy wasn't an invading army, a rival kingdom, or some ancient evil lurking in the dark. It was doubt, and once doubt takes root, it spreads. So lock your doors, dim the lights, and remember, the most dangerous monsters are often the ones we create ourselves. Long before Black Hollow became known for its curse, it was the heart of a prosperous kingdom. At its center stood Prince Aldric. He was admired by the people, respected by his soldiers, and trusted by those closest to him. But among all his allies, there was one man he trusted above everyone else. A friend who had stood beside him through every battle and every hardship. A man Aldric would have gladly trusted with his life. When the king died, rival noble houses fought for control of the throne. Aldric believed victory was within reach. Then, on the eve of the decisive battle, his closest friend vanished. So did military maps, troop positions, and battle plans. The information was delivered directly to Aldric's enemies. The betrayal cost thousands of lives. It cost Aldric the woman he loved, and it shattered something inside him that would never heal. Despite overwhelming odds, Aldric survived. He rallied what remained of his forces and reclaimed the kingdom. His enemies fell, the traitor was captured, and at last, Aldric took his place upon the throne. The kingdom celebrated. But the man sitting on that throne was no longer the prince they once knew. His crown had been won, but his trust had been lost forever. At first, Aldric's caution seemed reasonable. He increased security. He watched rival nobles. He questioned advisors. But caution slowly became obsession. He began testing the loyalty of everyone around him. He planted rumors, told different secrets to different people, watched every conversation, studied every glance. And before long, nobody knew when they were being tested, not even Aldric himself. The kingdom changed. Neighbors spied on neighbors. Friends reported friends. Families grew suspicious of one another. Aldric's fear spread through the kingdom like a sickness. The prince who once inspired hope disappeared. Only a shell remained, a king hollowed out by betrayal. And so the people gave him a new name, the Hollow King. Years later, the people could endure no more. They stormed the castle. They dragged Aldric from his throne. They marched him to the ancient oak at the center of town. Witnesses claimed he never begged. He never cried. He simply laughed. As the executioner's blade was raised, Aldric spoke one final time. "You think I created this? Look around you. You already distrust one another. I merely showed you what you are." Centuries passed. The kingdom faded. The castle crumbled. But Black Hollow remained. Most residents viewed the Hollow King as little more than an old legend. Among them were three lifelong friends, Lucas, Megan, and Daniel. They had grown up together, and despite life's hardships, their friendship had endured. It started with whispers. Lucas heard Megan criticizing him behind closed doors. Megan heard Daniel laughing about her failures. Daniel heard Lucas blaming him for a tragedy from years ago. The voices sounded real, perfectly real. But none of the conversations had ever happened. Still, the doubts remained. The whispers grew louder. They followed them into restaurants, into their homes, into their dreams. Old insecurities resurfaced. Small misunderstandings became arguments. Arguments became accusations. and before long the friendship that had survived decades began to fracture, just as Aldric's had. An elderly town historian revealed a forgotten truth. The curse of the Hollow King was never about ghosts. It was never about revenge. It was an idea, a lesson passed down through generations. The belief that betrayal hides behind every smile. And whenever people accepted that belief, the curse grew stronger. The Whispers eventually led the three friends to the ruins of Aldric's castle. There, beneath a sky heavy with storm clouds, years of frustration erupted. Accusations flew. Voices rose. Every insecurity, every wound, every fear, dragged into the open. The curse had nearly succeeded. Then something changed. Lucas stopped listening to the whispers and started listening to his memories. He remembered birthdays, road trips, late-night phone calls, the moments Megan and Daniel stood beside him when nobody else would. He looked at his friends, not the shadows, not the fears, his friends, and he finally understood. No, the word echoed through the ruins. I don't believe it. You would never betray me. Neither of you. Megan remembered too. Then Daniel. Years of friendship outweighed moments of doubt. They chose trust. The one thing Aldric never could. And for the first time in centuries, the curse had nothing left to feed on. A cold wind swept through the castle ruins. The whispers faded, then disappeared entirely. A darkness that had lingered over Black Hollow for generations seemed to unravel. Not with a scream, not with a roar, but with silence. Peaceful, complete. The Hollow King's reign was finally over. The next morning felt different. Neighbors greeted one another with smiles. Families spoke openly. The tension nobody realized existed was simply gone. Beneath the ancient oak where Aldric met his end, Lucas, Megan, and Daniel paused one final time. A weathered plaque stood nearby. Etched into the stone were simple words. A kingdom built on fear will always fall. The three friends exchanged a smile and walked away together. The curse was broken, and Black Hollow could finally rest. And so ends the tale of the Hollow King, a man who lost everything the moment he allowed fear to replace trust. For centuries, his shadow lingered over Black Hollow. But tonight, that shadow has finally lifted. My little shadows, thank you for joining me on this journey through Season 2. We've explored haunted hearts, cursed reflections, family wounds, forgotten legends, and the darkness that hides within us all. But every story must eventually reach its final page. For now, from all of us here in the darkness, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing these stories. And thank you for spending another season with me. Until next time, keep one eye on the shadows and one ear listening for whispers. This is Cripella, signing off. Good night, my little shadows. And remember, some legends never truly die. You've been listening to Whispers in the Dark. See you next season,